Hello, this is Shelby with Embellish Kits, and I just wanted to take a couple minutes today and go over a couple techniques with you, and I thought it would be fun to do a process video showing a couple of different techniques using the Faber Castell PITT Artist Pens and the Neocolor II watercolor crayons. So I'm going, as I'm working through the May Inspirational by Bible Journal Society, it focuses on who we are, and in the Bible it tells us in so many different passages, it tells us who we are and about our identity. So I thought that it would be fun to work in Galatians Chapter 2, and this basically tells us that our faith will grow stronger when we focus our identity in Christ. And so I thought, since it's kind of with faith and grow and our identity, that it would be fun to kind of do some flowers and to work in this margin right here in the Bible. So the first thing that I do when I want to do some artwork in the Bible is I actually go to the computer to get my artwork. I am not an artist. I don't draw very well, but that I don't let that stop me. So I found some artwork and I just printed it off on my computer. And what I'm going to do is I am just going to fold this so I can work on those margins a little bit better. So I'm just kind of folding this up so it's not so big and bulky on me. And that will help me. And then I'm even going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut this bulk from the top and the bottom off. Okay, so this is what I'm going to trace. Now, you'll notice that I did go ahead and kind of sketch out where I wanted my wording, and I'm not going to copy this exactly. For an example, some of these greenery and so forth, I'm not going to worry about. Now, I'm going to put this behind my Bible page, and underneath it, I just have an Illustrated Faith Bible mat, but you can use a piece of cardstock, cardboard, just something hard underneath that page there. And then I'm going to place this where I want it. So I'm going to move this up a little bit, and I'm just going to make sure that it's kind of straight and making sure that it is where I want it. Now, something that I have found that is easy for me to hold this in place is I just like to grab some washi tape, and I'm going to adhere that down with washi tape. And the washi tape is great because it comes up super easy when you're done, and it will not rip your pages or do anything like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put it here. I'm going to rip it there so it doesn't cover up some of the things that I know that I want to work on. And I'm going to just, that I'm kind of steering away from the edges where I'm going to have artwork. And I'm just going to rip this just a little bit more. So there we go. All right. So that shouldn't interfere with anything that I'm doing on those margins there. All right. Now, sometimes, and what actually most people are most comfortable doing is they will take a pencil, and it can be a mechanical, it can be a wood pencil, whatever, it doesn't matter. And they sketch this, they trace it with a pencil, and then they go over it with a pen, and then they're going to go and they're going to erase the pencil marks. Then at that point, they're going to add their color. So, because I'm doing a video and because I am really, to me, this isn't about perfection. And so I'm okay if it's not exact and if it's not perfect. I'm just going to jump right in with my pen, and I'm going to skip I'm going to skip the pencil and the erasing part. I do want to say though, these erasers, you're going to want an extra soft eraser. I love these white ones because they're not very messy, but you don't want a real abrasive eraser on these thin pages. So an extra soft eraser is definitely worth the couple dollar investment there. Okay, so I'm gonna just jump right in here now. Instead of this being a 40-minute video and me doing the entire thing, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just select a part of this and I'm gonna take you through all of the steps. And I think that will be better and way shorter video, way less boring instead of me trying to do it all right now. So what I would like to do is I'm gonna start with this large flower right here, and I'm simply going to just sketch and trace these lines. And it's nothing that you have to be perfect. I'm just lightly sketching my petals here. Okay, now this pen that I'm using is the extra small one. Not extra small, sorry. You assume extra small, but it's, I think, extra super fine tip. So this is like the thinnest one that they have. And this is one that I actually really like to start off with, and you'll see later how I am going to add to it. So I'm just going to kind of add my own thing there in the middle, and then I'm going to just randomly add some little lines. Okay, so very rough. And you know what, while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and do this one just because I really like this. I think this will be a good example to show you. I'm going to have that leaf kind of go off the page there. And then we're going to trace this one. Hopefully you're not seeing my head in the camera. I've done that before and it's a real bummer. So we're just going to kind of go up here just a little bit because I don't want that to interfere. And then this is kind of the leaf part. And again, I'm just going to kind of add some randomness there, okay? So again, just really light sketching it. Now I do like this leaf as well. I'm going to bring it up and around. Okay, and then I'll just add a couple of these little. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. I will eventually do this other, but I think this will be good enough to get us going. All right, now the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my watercolor. Now, I have already kind of picked out the colors that I want to use here, and I'm gonna see if I can't zoom this in just a little bit for you so you can see this detail just a little bit better. Okay, perfect. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I've kind of picked my yellows and my oranges here for the flowers, and then I'll do, of course, the green for the stems and the greenery. So I'm gonna pick my darkest color first, and I'm gonna start, and I want to do the outside edges of my petals with the darkest color. And I think I'm gonna move, I'm gonna go lighter as we move into the center of this flower. So I'm basically just coloring with the crayon those outside petals. Now, one thing about watercolors that I think is good to know is you don't always have to be perfect. The way that the colors bleed and flow, it's almost a look that it has for it to not be perfect. It is not one of those mediums where it's got to be precise. Okay, so I did my darkest color on the outside edges, and then I'm going to take this medium orange, and I'm just going to add some color right around that center part. And again, I'm just adding color very quickly, very easy. Okay, now at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a paintbrush. Now, there's a couple options. You can use a thin paintbrush, or you can use a water pen. Now, I'm going to use this water pen today. I love water pens, and I love this one. This one is Tim Holtz. It's by Ranger. And you're going to notice that my tip is not only stained, but you know what? That stain's not going to transfer. It's not a big deal. But it's also has been used and abused. I am expecting a shipment of these today, but I knew if I waited to do this video till my pens came in that I probably would not get it done this weekend. We have 4 baseball games in the next 24 hours. So it was one of those things that I decided to go ahead and try to get this video filmed before I headed to the ballpark. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, most of the time with watercolor, you start with the lighter color first. I'm not on this, and I'm going to show you why, because this is kind of a different technique that I'm going to show you. But I'm going to start with my dark color, and all I'm going to do is I'm getting that dark color a little bit wet, and I'm just letting that color kind of sit while I go all the way around my flower. Now, I'm not being super precise here. If I go outside the lines, it's totally not a big deal, but I'm just kind of getting that wet, and you're going to notice that as I'm getting it wet, I'm bringing the color down to the center a little bit, okay? So super easy. I'm not putting a lot of water on this. With watercolor, the more water you put, the less pigment your colors are going to be. So I am not using a lot of water here because I want these tips to be pretty dark. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing up here. And I'm just getting that wet, and I'm bringing the color down some. Okay. Again, if I get out of the lines, it's totally not a big deal. I should have some music or something going on. It's quiet, but you probably don't want me to ramble on the whole entire time, because that would get old. I just love how forgiving these watercolor crayons are. Okay. Anytime that I do use my watercolors, I like to have my paper towel just kind of right there, hand by. Okay, so I've gone over that. I've kind of gotten those edges all wet a little bit. Now I'm going to take it and I'm going to get that lighter shade of orange wet, and I'm going to really get in those little edges here where I couldn't get in with the tip of my crayon, but I can now that I've got a brush. So I'm just going to get those kind of wet, and again, I want that color to stay there at the bottom. Now, when that's all nice and wet, then I'm going to start pulling that color up and bringing that red down, okay? So I'm going to blend those colors just a little bit better. Whenever it's wet, the color moves, and so it's easier to drag the color kind of up and down. So I'm kind of first moving that orange up, and then as it's still wet, I'm bringing that darker color down some. So that's kind of the process that I'm working with here is I'm kind of bringing it up, and then as it's still wet, I'm going to bring some of that darker color down so it kind of meets it a little bit more. Okay, so that is that one. I'm going to do the exact same thing over on this smaller flower. I'm going to get the bottom super wet, and then I'm going to bring that color up, and then I'm going to bring that darker color down. So on this example, I have my darkest color and then I have my lightest color, and I'm just trying to blend those together kind of in the middle some. Okay. All right. So let's kind of do the same thing with the green. Now with the green, what I would like to do is I would like the main part of my stem and my greenery to be this really light green. So I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the touches of this darker green. It's almost like a, well, it's the color of my shirt almost. So I'm going to add that there. I'm just going to do a little bit there, and I'm going to just kind of do a little bit down the middle on that part. All right, so we're going to do the same thing for the stem there. So I'm just going to add water, and I'm going to do the light color first, because once my water brush touches that dark color, it's going to kind of take over. So I want to do kind of my base with this light one first, and then I'll just kind of let the darker color bleed into it. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to add water to my dark. You notice I had a little bit too much water there, so I just kind of wiped it on my paper towel. Okay, now if you do have too much water, like I think that leaf right there has too much water, so I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to blot it. And you'll notice that when I did that, it removed a lot of that excess color. So that's a great way to, if you ever have too much color or if you've made a mistake, just wet it and blot it, wet it and blot it, and that will really remove a lot of the color. Okay, so again, that's going to be okay for now. Now, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this middle section. Now, I'm going to use my very lightest color, and I am going to just add this light color into the center of my flower here. Then I'm going to take this medium color and I'm going to go back kind of in between where I blended my light and my dark color, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that medium color in. So again on here, I'm gonna blot this green up here a little bit because it's just kind of sitting in color, and that I think looks better. Okay, then I'm gonna take my pen and I'm gonna start with my very lightest color, which is the very center here, and I'm just gonna move that color with my brush around to get in all those little tiny petals there. Now you're going to see that this is super wet, and I really don't want this to have that much color to it. So I am definitely going to dab that so it's just super light. Okay, so really light there. Okay, then I can take my brush and I'm just going to go over one more time, kind of just blending everything together. Getting a little bit more detail in here. And so I basically on this, I used 3 different shades of orange for these petals. I did the darkest color on the outside edges, then I did the lightest color toward the middle, and then I went in a second step, I added the middle color and kind of helped to blend those together. And I did the same up here. So I'm trying to get some of that yellowish color up to the top of these petals as well. Okay, so that's super easy. That looks good to me. I am going to add just a little bit. This is still really wet, so I'm just going to add a little bit more color here and just kind of let that set. I don't want really any more water, but I do want to make sure that that color gets to those edges. Okay, now while that is kind of drying, and it really does not take long at all to dry, but while that's drying, I'm going to work on my text. Now on the text, I want my text to be one of the most important things. So I'm going to use a thicker pen for my text. So I use the extra super fine to go around the edges, and with my text I'm going to use just the fine. So it's going to be thicker, and that's what I want for this particular project. So I am just going to outline my text here, and it says I am and for those of you that are watching really close, you're probably noticing that I'm not really following my sketch to a T, and that's totally okay with me. It's just to kind of give me a ballpark. It's going to say I am, and then I'm going to do defined by. And then down here, I'm going to do God. Okay, now what I want to do with this, I really want this to kind of stick out. I'll just put a little top on my A there. Okay, so I'm going to use this really dark red for my text, and I'm going to use kind of a different technique here. I'm not going to be able to get this crayon in those edges very well. So what I would like to do is I would like to get my brush, and I'm going to get color off of my crayon tip, and I'm going to color it in on my inside of my letters, and this will allow me to have more control and to get into those small spaces better. Again, I don't want a lot of water here. I don't really want it to bleed. I just want to get that color into the inside parts of my letters here. And I'm going to go over it twice. So the first time I'm just kind of doing a good base. And I'm not really all that worried about full coverage here. Again, watercolors, a lot of it is layering. So we're going to do a couple different layers. as I'm doing this, I think it's important to note that, a lot of times in the world, we let people define us. We let them label us. We let them form their opinions on us. And sometimes we do this to ourselves. And I think it's just a really good reminder that those things should not define us. That God has defined us, and He created us, and He loves us, and He knows what we can become. And so if we have faith and trust in God, and we understand that He is who defines us, then we won't take what others think of us as serious. And we won't let our successes or our failures define us. We won't let our feelings define us so much. We won't let our possessions define us, because we know that we are defined by God. So I think it's just a really good reminder for all of us to know that that God does define us, and that we are not defined by the things of the world and by the people of the world. And I've loved working through that May inspirational. For those of you interested, the inspirational is by Bible Journal Society, and they are available online. Okay, so that is how I'm going to do that red. So as you can tell, that red just kind of pops out and looks really nice. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to do one more layer with my green. I'm actually going to add a different shade of green here. This is more like a Kelly green. And this is where you can just have fun with this. There isn't a right or a wrong. And I'm just kind of fine tuning. I'm just adding a little bit more color and character to my flowers. Just random. I'm not doing anything consistently throughout. I'm just adding just a little bit more. So I'm going to first start off with my green. And then I'll move on to my orange a little bit. I'll bring some of that green down. Okay, so this green kind of took over, and I don't love that. So I'm just going to blot some of that off, and that will remove some of that color so I can kind of blend it a little bit better. Okay. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is I just added a little bit more definition in some of these petals. So I'm going to just add that a little bit more water and help blend those. For those of you that have never worked with the Neocolor IIs, they are a very forgiving watercolor and super, super easy to use. And I strongly recommend them. They come in small sets of 10 or 15. This set that I have is a set of 42, and I love it. It is probably one of my most favorite techniques to use in Bible journaling and when I color in my adult coloring books. Okay, there is another step that I want to do with this, but I want to make sure that this is nice and dry. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just take a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to simply close my book and put it to the side. And I'm just going to give that just a minute to dry. That will help the paper dry flat, and it will also make sure that none of the watercolor bleeds onto the other page in my Bible. So while I do that, I would like to show you our Bible Journal Society kit for June. This is June's, and June's theme is on faith. Now, at Bible Journal Society, we have a monthly Kit Club subscription, and it's $15, and every month is based on a theme. So this month's theme is on faith, and it always comes with a inspirational on that theme, and the products are all related to it. So I'm going to show you my inspirational here because I have been working through it, and I think it's good for you to see how it's used. So this is kind of my testimony on faith and kind of where it's at and some of the things that I would like to do to strengthen it. And you will notice that it's kind of a workbook. There's always elements in here that you can trace into the margins of your Bible. But it's a really good guide for you to work independently through the month on a certain theme. And so this one, again, 14 pages, and this one's on faith. Also, every month you get a art supply. So this month the art supply is this washi tape that I used. It's the white with the black polka dot, which I love because that white just kind of melts into your pages. So that's great. Also, here are 3 watercolor margin pieces of art. So you can use your watercolors, your markers, you can use crayons, you can use whatever you want, but these are really fun and they do fit in the margins of your Bible. Also, this month comes with, isn't that so cute? This is a little clip that you can put on the top of a page for like a little bookmarker. And last, I am totally loving this. This is 57 pieces, and they're all different elements. And I just want to kind of show you some of these elements really quick because they are to die for. So some of them are large. Some of them, see, there's our little faith there. Some of them are large, some of them are small. Some of them, like these, are white, and so you can full on color in them. They've got lots and lots of elements. These here are actually my favorite. So let me kind of show you these. These are, look at all of these tabs, which you will use, every single one of them. They're awesome. They also have all of these pieces that I love for the margins. They've got all these arrows, tabs, little things that fit in the margins, some big pieces. There's just a lot of elements in this kit. So, so this is, again, it's 57 pieces, and I was going to try to find one piece to give you a hint on what our theme is for next month. Here we go. So this is a little tip on what our theme is for next month, and I have been working on it, and I am absolutely loving it. So if you're interested, our Bible Journal Society kit, it is a subscription-based kit club. It is $15 a month, and it always comes with faith-related embellishments, as well as an art supply, and it always comes with the inspirational. If you're interested in that, you can always go to embellishkits.com, and you can get more information and sign up for our kit club there. Now, let's go back. I am sure our page that we were working on is dry by now. So let's go back, and I just wanted to show you a couple last little tips of some of the things that I like to do. It's completely dry. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit again because I think that it will be good for you to see this kind of up close. Okay, so now that that's dry, what I like to do is I'm going to take my pen, and I guess again I'm going to take this really small one, And I am going to kind of be more relaxed with my hand and kind of be more, and I'm going to go around this again. And I'm not going to worry so much about tracing what's underneath it. I'm just giving it a second layer. So I am going to take my pen, and I'm trying not to go on the exact lines that I went on the first time. So this is not about tracing perfectly and going back over the lines. It's more about giving it another layer, so to speak, and making it a little messy. I just looked out the window and realized that my UPS man just dropped off my order of water brushes. So that's always a good thing. So I'm just adding a little bit more random on the top here. Again, I'm not following those lines that I had before. I'm making kind of a second set of them, okay? And then I will actually do the same thing to my print to kind of add a little bit more to that. Now, before I end, I do want to show you how easy it is to remove the washi tape, and I want to show you how our bleed through is looking on this. Oftentimes people don't believe me when I say that these black, really dark pens don't bleed through. They're like, yeah. Now, something with bleeding through, some people don't mind it at all. I actually don't mind shadowing at all, but I don't necessarily love my bleed through on the back side. It gives me just one more thing. I feel like I have to do the back page to cover it up instead of working more on inspiration. I feel like I have to hurry and find something and do it on the back. So this is just to kind of show you how that bleed through is. It's not bleeding through. It's just kind of a shadow. So hopefully you can see that in these pages. I don't know how good it is picking it up. But I'm not going to finish this here on film because I think that you have the idea. But I will finish this and I will post it on Instagram. Again, if you know of anybody that would enjoy this video, please feel free to share this video and follow us on Instagram. We do a lot on Instagram, and we will be continuing to do more videos on YouTube as well. So again, you can contact us by leaving a comment below, or you can go to embellishkits.com and just go to the Bible Journal Society. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I hope you have an awesome day, and hopefully you will find something from this video to benefit you, and that you can enjoy the process that Bible journaling is. Have a great day. Bye-bye.